Hey everybody, welcome to Monday night's edition of Paranormal Question of the Day, and we'll be right back right after the short intro. And we are back. So everybody, hopefully you had a good Monday. I know I hate my frickin' Mondays, but Taryn, how's your Monday going?
I was productive today.
That's good. That's good.
Productive and not to mention on time.
Yeah, you were.
Yes.
Woohoo! Just kidding. And so tonight's guest we have Mr. Joe Diamond. How you doing, Joe?
Doing great. Thanks for asking me to be here. Happy spooky season. Happy October.
Love it.
Samhain, Samhain, all that stuff. So
right.
I love this time of year because I feel normal.
I don't know if I ever feel normal.
I mean, that's also true. That is also true.
Yeah. Well, paranormal is, anything opposite of normal. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got a full weekend coming up here. In 4 days, I'll be heading to Edinburgh Manor, and then on Saturday, I'll be heading to Broadhead Manor. So it's going to be a good 20-some hours of investigating time. So
Nice.
anyhow, so everybody, wonderful guest tonight. Like I said, Joe Diamond. He is the world's greatest mind reader. So
not with this on my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. Okay. So, here's the thing. I was thinking this proves I'm not, because I was like, man, I probably shouldn't be rude and say her lovely hat it looks like tinfoil, but you admitted it, so okay. All right. All right.
I told Karen. I said I have
she mentioned that to me today.
Because you don't want to be in here anyway. So I'm actually saving you.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, and again, that was less mind reading and more just being tactful and not putting my foot in my mouth, which I do somehow happen to do occasionally.
I was like, how come neither of them have said a word yet?
Oh, hi, George.
I'm like, how come
hey, George.
Yet? Not even when we were backstage. We both were just like talking.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I guess I gotta wait for somebody in the comments to say, Tyron, what the hell's on your head?
Well, again, like I don't want you to be like, this is the hat my grandmother gave me before she passed. I love it. Like, I don't want to be, and even if it's not, again, let's save it for the show. You're fine. You're fine. I do actually have, for my bigger shows, an introvert section, because there are people who fall into the category of they say the number one fear after snakes, after falling, after fire is public speaking, and getting up in front of a room full of people is scary enough, let alone someone who's gonna guess, even if it's just like a number or something like that. It can be nerve-wracking for some people. So I say, hey, if you want to come and just watch the show, here's these seats. You do have to provide your own tinfoil hat, though. So.
And it's not expensive, and it's very easy to make.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. It protects. It protects.
So, does this really work?
Right out of the gate.
I'll put it to you this way. If it did, I wouldn't admit it, and if it didn't, I wouldn't let you know. So we'll leave it at that.
You're screwed either way.
Yeah, I was going to take it off, but now I don't know if I can.
Oh man.
No, it works. It doesn't work like in the movies. It's like all forms of communication. It's a two-way street, and it all works with the way I kind of describe it to people is.
So I can take this
it's
off?
not. You can't, unless you want to make a bold-fashioned choice. I don't judge.
No, I'm just.
Oh God, I snorted.
Before I take this off.
Okay.
this is, you're gonna be like, let me out.
You're in trouble.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Okay, you can take it off. You can take
All
it off.
right.
It's fine.
Just warning
It's
you.
fine. Okay. All right. All right.
And then your
388-847-528-167-8987. That's her social security number, everybody. So go on a shopping spree. I'm kidding. I didn't accidentally get that right, did I? I was just naming random numbers, just to be clear. That was a joke.
No.
I do have to be, again, if I was right, you wouldn't admit it. And if I was wrong, hackers will go, oh, it's not that. So let's work backwards to figure out what it is. So, yeah. So,
awesome.
Well, that's fun. It's fun. So yeah, so just real quick, going back to what I said, it is a two-way street. The way I equate it to is a cell phone conversation. If the call drops and we both trying to call each other at the same time, no connection is made. If we both sit around waiting for the other person to call, no connection's made. You need one person to make the call, one person to receive the call. And if the person just goes, I don't want to talk to this person, I'm not going to answer. Well, then that's fine. I straight up tell people, in my shows, it's not a magic trick, and if you want to screw it up, you can. And if you want to do that because you want to see what will happen, I'll tell you what will happen. I'll go, well, I'm wrong. This isn't working with you. Have a seat. Thank you for helping, and I'll move on to someone else. It's going to be very boring. It's going to be so that's the way I approach it.
What do you find most people come to you, like the reasoning behind them wanting you to do this for them?
A variety of reasons. If they're buying a ticket, so let me just back up and clarify a couple quick things. I do shows at a variety of locations all over the country, mostly the Midwest. I have a show out of the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake that seats 13 people at a time. That way, everyone who comes gets their mind read and is a part of the show. I'm also doing shows in everywhere from theaters. I'll do. I just did a run of high schools and colleges where I'll work in more of a motivational message about nothing is impossible and paying attention to one another, that kind of stuff. And so I am first and foremost a professional artist and entertainer, and this is my, for lack of a better term, medium. I actually have the opening joke in my shows, which is, some call me a mind reader, some call me a mentalist. I'm not a medium. I'm a large, and I pat my belly. And that's my wife's favorite joke, so I will never retire it. And because I do have people who think, when they hear the word psychic, the very next word they think is medium. And most psychics in pop culture, when they're depicted in, movies and TV show, are like the TV show Medium, or, just off the top of my head, a lot of TV psychics are almost all mediums. I can think of very few. There was that astrologist. There's that Netflix documentary on him. I can't remember, but he was just an astrologist. And there were, and it seems like everyone but the mediums have kind of faded from the public consciousness, because there would be, tarot readers on the radio. There was someone named David Hoy back in the day who people would just call in, ask him questions, and he would just answer without thinking and be right. And sometimes he was wrong. He'd say, I'm not getting anything. I don't know. And he just worked with people's minds and their thoughts. Started dabbling with predicting the future a little bit more as
like premonitions in a way, huh?
Yeah. There's a great book about his life called Super Psychic, where it was written by a actual reporter, journalist, who came in to interview him for something and just try to figure out what like the trick was or the gimmick, or figure him out. And he was so amazed by him, he ended up writing his biography and going into all the details of, how he used psi in his everyday life and so forth. It's a hard book to find, but if you can find it, it's a small little paperback, Super Psychic, The Life of David Hoy. It's a great book, was very influential on me growing up. And then, of course, people like, the amazing Kreskin, Uri Geller, grew up. I grew up watching a lot of Nick at Night, so I watched a lot of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Twilight Zone,
good stuff,
Johnny Carson episodes. When I tell people what I watched growing up, they're always like, "Wait, how old are you?" And I'm like, "Nick at Night." I was the weirdo in third grade, going into everyone and saying, "Hey, did you watch Beverly Hillbillies last night?" And all the other third graders like, "What?"
I watched that.
You mean that new movie coming out with the guy who plays Ernest? You know, that early '90s remake. You know, it's like like that. I was that weird kid.
Yeah, I always
And
watched
so-
Laurel and Hardy.
Mhm. Oh yeah, Three Stooges at W.C. Fields, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest
So yeah,
American
so and
Hero, Bosom Buddies, Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Yep. And
guess
so yeah, so I focus purely almost 100% on someone thinks a thought, they send it to me, or vice versa. And there's different ways you can get into it. I'll have some people who who will think of something. I'll try to guess it. I'll think of something, have them guess it. I'll try to ask them questions, and then based on those answers, figure out what their upcoming answers will be, kind of stuff. And I've done this for a few, again, 13 people in my studio at the Dole Mansion, which is now an arts park. There's painters, musicians. A good friend of mine there, Lauren Purcell, is a medium. She's great. You should actually, if you want, reach out to me after this, Darren. I'll give you her info. She'd be a great guest. She has tons of stories. So it's nice now where people do come to me looking for a medium. Like for the first forever of my of my career, I used to give like palm readings at a metaphysical shop, and I was always at the bottom of the barrel. No one wanted a guy. No one wanted anyone under 30. No one, they all wanted a medium, not a palm reader. So like I always got like the last ditch effort people who came in and just wanted the quick one. But
those are interesting though.
They are interesting for sure, and I'm glad I did it. Did it back then. Gave me a lot of experience, and I learned a lot. And the shop was great. And it's good now that I'm just doing shows where people, if they ask me about that kind of stuff, I can just say, "Here, talk to my friend Lauren. She can, she can do that." That said, I do tarot. I do palmistry. I've given readings. I do still, just with my performing schedule, I don't have as much time to devote to private readings. That said, for my VIP ticket holders, for my shows, my VIP ticket is a 2-person ticket, which includes the show and then a reading afterwards. And I use a spirit bottle for those readings. If you look me up on YouTube, for those of you who don't know what spirit bottles are, they're awesome. It's a pendulum in a bottle. I demonstrated how to do it on the Modern Rogue YouTube channel, which is great because those two dudes are like diehard skeptics. And seeing them just start to go, holy mackerel, this isn't a trick. And like just have all that, like have their worldview crumble was very, very fun. And it kind of got them thinking in cool and interesting ways. And we've worked on other cool stuff since then. And so that's like the main, and the great thing I love about the spirit bottle is I'm technically not giving the reading. I show them how it works. We determine directions, yes and no. And then I sit back and go, okay,
you ask the question.
You're in a mansion that was built in 1864, expanded in 1922 by Eliza Ringling of Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey fame. You can ask about your life. You can ask what ghosts are here. It's over to you. It's all up to you from here on out. And then at the end, we have the bottle choose a tarot card for them to finish the reading. But in between there, they get to ask any kind of questions they want. And that's really fun too, because I'm also definitely very, empathic. I expel a lot of energy. It's only in like the last year or two, I've really learned how to like ground myself so I don't get as worn out, not just from mind reading, but just from the energy, the jolt of performing. When we switched to virtual shows in early 2020, I was at a bit of an advantage because my closing piece, my closing experiment in my show since I was 17 was reading someone's mind over the phone. We would call someone and I would guess what they were thinking of. So that was good because when the Zoom shows started happening, I was able to do that. The problem was, okay, my old closer is now my opener. What do I do now for the next 45 minutes? And that was really fun. And that was a really fun artistic challenge to connect with as many people as possible, even though we're not even in the same room or same state most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I love about all this StreamYard stuff and everything. Like you can
Mhm.
basically you're like hanging out with your friends, you know,
Yeah,
even if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't do a live
absolutely.
video, you can hop on this and just all hang out, you know, and talk.
Yep.
So
Yep.
So I got a question here.
Yep.
So when did you actually know that you had these kinds of gifts? I mean, was it early on in single age, or more in your teens type deal?
Yeah, it was very early on. Real quick, going with Tom's question, we can try something with all the viewers and everyone later on. So we can tease that for stay tuned.
Yep.
But we will try something in a little bit. So as far as how I got started, like I said, I was into, you know, Twilight Zone and all that stuff as a kid. And when I say I was a Ghostbuster for Halloween, again, people's radars don't go off until I say I was born in the, we'll just say, late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of after uh, the Ghostbusters boom, like the cartoon show was kind of coming to an end when I was watching it as a kid.
Right.
So I was kind of just like, just outside of all that, being an only child and all that. And my great grandmother taught me how to read playing cards, like tarot cards. And I did improv growing up, and I dabbled with, performance magic. And I went to a very religious school. So even though I read about ritual mass magic and as above, so below, and all these kinds of, the
That's a good
actual
movie.
origins of things like, yeah, the actual origins of words like abracadabra and hocus pocus. Fun fact, hocus pocus was a name. It was an actual magician.
oh really?
And yes, so people are like, what does it mean? It was just a guy's name. It's the equivalent of going David Copperfield. Like, it's the equivalent of that. Could you imagine a movie of a bunch of witches 200 years from now just being named David Copperfield too? Could you imagine that? That's basically the equivalent of it. But it's fascinating.
We don't even
Abracadabra
hear
is
of
the
David Copperfield anymore.
yeah.
Oh no, you don't.
He still has over $1 billion and performs eight shows a week in Las Vegas in his own
Amazing.
theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know who else is?
I saw him when I was a
awesome?
kid.
That show on TV, the Something Effect. The guy that
Oh, Carbonaro Effect. Yes.
I
Yes,
love that show.
my dear departed mentor, Eugene Berger. He was a former religious professor turned magician. He woke up at age 39 and went, when am I going to stop following other people's dreams and follow my own? And he wouldn't just, tear up a piece of thread and put it back together. He would light a candle and burn it and tell the Hindu story of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva and the destruction and restoration of the universe. He didn't just do a card trick. He made it about the Spanish Inquisition and torture. Like, he'd have a king and he would turn it inside out while talking about how people tortured people in the Spanish Inquisition. And he was a dear friend, dear mentor. I've never met Michael Carbonaro, but Michael Carbonaro was very good friends with Eugene Berger when he was alive.
Gotcha.
So there is there is a connection there, but about a couple $1 million difference. That's about it. But no, his show is great. It's wonderful, and
I literally have like slowed these things down, got all up into the TV. I'm like, how does he do what he does? I don't get it.
Yeah. Exactly. And his live show is wonderful too. His live show is absolutely wonderful. So I got a lot into that world, but I always saw it as a way to make these things from my childhood real. Things like Twilight Zone, Ghostbusters, all that stuff. And a lot of magicians well, that's a real quick, Tom. That's because Doug Henning died 20 years ago.
He said
David Copperfield is still he was 2001, I believe, if I remember correctly. And but David Copperfield still performs regularly in Vegas. He's still the best-selling solo act. He has sold more tickets as a solo performer than Elvis or anybody. He is
even the Blue Man Group.
Well, that's three people.
I know.
Exactly. I know.
Oh, solo.
But So, but the weird thing with magicians is they kind of refuse to believe in magic. like I'm a huge fan of Penn and Teller, and I've loved their work artistically, but sometimes when they talk about, just, magic being fake and all this other stuff, and, oh, we're going to, it just kind of is like, could you imagine if a musician opened up the piano? Let's say a musician has just played a beautiful piece of music, and you are crying. And the musician goes, "Oh, no!" Lifts open the piano and shows, like, look, there's strings. I hit this. That hits a vibration. That goes into your ear. That that's not real. What you're feeling isn't. It's like, no, like, yes, it's not music. It's sound. No, even though. My good friend Nate Staniforth, who I respect hugely, he's done a lot of stuff. He's like, I can't. He often says, I can't do magic, but I can help you see it. And I loved that, but I wanted to look into doing magic. I looked into hypnosis a little bit. Turns out I didn't like potentially having that kind of power over people. It was very, very strange. Some of the stuff that happened was spooky and creepy, and I didn't ever feel comfortable doing it in a professional setting, but I hypnotized my friends sometimes and such. And it was interesting from that standpoint. And again, I did improv growing up too, so there was that. And then I got into more, again, learning how to do numerology readings and palm readings. I'd always done them, but learning to do them as like part of my job and part of what I was doing in my early 20s. I love that, but like a lot of the magicians I knew were like, "Oh, you're doing that, like, metaphysical occulty stuff. Isn't that a con?" And then when I got involved with the metaphysical groups, they were like, "Oh, you work with magicians and you treat everything like it's a trick and like it's fake." And it's like, so I kind of ended up not belonging to either community in a weird way. I still have very good friends in each community. Do not get me wrong. I'm very lucky to know the people I know, but I never really felt fully embraced by either community. With the exception of my actual friends who, we just embrace as humans, and we can agree and disagree about stuff and have these conversations. And, that's kind of the point. So I kind of just went off on my own and approached what I did as more of, trying to create like a real life Twilight Zone episode for people. Because if someone buys a ticket to see a mind reader in a haunted mansion, and there's only 13 seats available, and we're going to be in there for an hour, that's a setup for a Twilight Zone episode. That's a setup right there. And I think the biggest thing, so this is the biggest roundabout way to answer both of your questions, basically, is I think what people want when they come to me is they do want mystery. One of the big things I'm proud of is, there's the people on each end of the spectrum, the people who are diehard skeptics and diehard believers. But there's a big swell of people in the middle who, enjoy this stuff. They enjoy the TV show Supernatural and then turn it off and see what's on next. And then there are people who dive into it and all this other stuff. So that's true with all art forms. But the thing I'm really proud of is I can create mystery on both sides for those people. And if you look at like one of my shows is on TripAdvisor, and I'm number one in my area, and about half the reviews are from people who are like, "I'm a skeptic. I didn't think I'd enjoy this, but I have no idea what just happened. He made a believer out of me. This is amazing." And I have people who are into this kind of stuff who are like, "I had no idea you could take it to this level. You could tell these kinds of stories with it and invoke these kinds of feelings and, for lack of a better term, outcomes." And so that I'm very proud of, that I can kind of hit. I'm not just playing to, I'm not spreading myself so thin that I'm trying to appeal to or please everybody, right. But at least the people who may find themselves at a mind reading show, I want to give them that experience. There's also, I talk a lot about history in my show. So there are some people who don't care if it's real or not. They just love hearing the stories. They just love hearing the history. That's kind of where my wife is too. She's a history science double major. So we're like the perfect yin yang couple.
There you go.
Yeah. So we like all the same things, but for different reasons.
So the next question I have, which actually kind of leads up to this question, is, so with all your abilities that you have, what is your absolute favorite?
I'm gonna do the thing I normally hate, but there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna change the question slightly.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I use a lot of, for lack of a better term, different abilities. Yes, I'm using my intuition a lot, but sometimes I'm using that intuition to guess something about someone, or I'm using my intuition to find the perfect joke, or being like, I might have two jokes in my head. Someone says something, one line that comes to mind might be a little dirtier than the other. So I literally have to rely on my intuition to be like, should I go that route? Is this no? and the hat goes back on. Exactly.
Taryn, stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. Always wear protection. It's okay. She's just being responsible. Perfect example. I went that direction. I went that direction. So there is that. So I use a lot of different, for lack of better terms, abilities, skills, a lot of stuff. Going into Michelle's thing, this is kind of segueing into this stuff. Yes, I do use body language, and there are times I'm just trusting. There are times I'm just trusting my intuition. There are times I do a lot of psychometry in my work where I'm just holding on to an object. I don't know who in the room it belongs to, and I'm just not filtering. There's not a trick to it. I'm just doing it. I do that a lot over Zoom too. I'll have people hold up objects and just give a reading. And so you can take in that stuff, but it's not quite. I've noticed when I try to go full Sherlock Holmes, the more wrong I am. And I think it's because I'm being more analytical rather than just establishing a state of flow. Mm-hmm. So all that said, I am going to shift the question slightly and talk about the individual pieces I do. Because Eugene Berger, he's worked with other psychic performers. He worked with a psychic who gave readings at one of the restaurants in Chicago's he worked with. He worked a lot with Ross Johnson, who's like the #1 psychic entertainer in the country. He's been doing this 50 years for every kind of Fortune 500 company you can imagine. And he talked about building a show of pieces. They're not tricks. They're not effects. Kreskin usually called them like tests, those kinds of things. And for me, they're pieces, because very often there's the mind reading aspect, the stunt, the trick, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, do you consider that magic?
It's a form of performance magic for sure. But again, I consider, I think performance magic can invoke. I know people who use actual cast spells from their Wiccan practices in their stage magic. I don't see a distinction between those things personally. It all comes from the same place. It's all meant to do the same thing. And so for me, I'm taking like the piece, the script, the effect, the structure, and what I want out of it. So just real quick, for example, one of the big things I do in my my current show, Mystic, which is 13 people in the room, is at the end of the show, the very last thing I do is someone's been thinking of something the whole show. I don't want to give too much away in case anyone does want to come see it, but to make the trip to the Midwest. Yeah, without giving too much away, someone's been thinking of something the whole show. People think I've forgotten about it, and then I go, "Wait, you and I have unfinished business." And I put on, and I take out a Ouija board that's been on display, put it down, put on a blindfold. There we go. Yep, Taryn's putting it back on, and blindfolded with their hands on my shoulders, I'll spell out the word. Now, I could just write it on. If I was at a corporate event, I would just have someone think of the word, write it on a giant piece of card. What are you thinking of? Anti-disestablishmentarianism, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I wrote. Thank you. Good night. And everyone will go, oh, how wonderful. But the exact same thing, just by using, now I'm never open for anyone cautious. I'm wearing a rosary. I'm never opening the board. I'm taking precautions with it all. I'm taking actual metaphysical precautions with all of it. So, and I'm using it to get a better read of the person, not to communicate with a spirit. That said, I know I can't do that at the beginning of the show. Throughout the show, I use a crystal ball. I'll use tarot cards. I'll talk about all these different, real life mystics from throughout history. I'll actually make people go through a little ritual before this. And the big thing that I feel like is, the hard work isn't reading that person's mind. The hard work is, how can I take everyone on a journey to where when we get to that board, it makes sense? Because otherwise I'm just taking it out for shock value, for for people to just go, oh, what's he doing? I want there to be a reason for us to get there. One piece in my other show, The 13th Hour, I themed everything in that show around time travel. It's all mind reading, but I talk about, like, wouldn't it be great to go into the future, see what happens, and then come back to the present to make a prediction?
Yeah,
I have people go into the past in their mind, in their imagination. And I do a thing with books, and I designed the whole thing to be done with the biggest skeptic in the room. The biggest skeptic in the room. So I say, if I had to just think of
obviously I'm not, since I have aluminum foil on my head.
That's fine. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're okay. You're good. You're good. You're good.
I don't need to worry because there's nothing up there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so here's the thing. If I guess the name of their friend, they might think I looked them up on social media. So if you think of a random word, well, put under pressure, you're only going to come up with about 100 words, really, maybe 50. And so let's get some books. Well, you might think they're special books. Well, let's get books everyone's heard of, books like Harry Potter and the Da Vinci Code. Take a look, make sure they're all different. Well, maybe there's like cameras that might be spying on me. Well, hold it up so no one can see. In fact, think of any word on that page. So even if someone did look over your shoulder, they won't, they won't know what it is. The whole thing is built so that at the end, when I have them say the word, when I write down the word they're actually thinking of, there's nothing for them to fall back on. There's not body language. There's not, technology. There's not odds. There's nothing. The trapdoor is just opened up and their mind is doing what our bodies feel when they're on a roller coaster. And that is really rewarding for me in that particular piece. That said, in my corporate shows, one of my favorite things to do lately has been this piece in the middle where I make it about, they're just going to write down a name of a friend or a family member. Everyone else writes down names of dead celebrities. They're all sealed in envelopes. They're mixed up. With my back turned away, I sense if the envelope they hold near my hand is a dead celebrity or the person they're thinking of. They think I'm just going to find that name. But along the way, I start picking up like their star sign, and then their full birthday, and then a secret I shouldn't know. And then I know their mom's name. Then I know the actual envelope. And then on top of it, I tell them the name in that envelope without ever opening it up. And I can have them think of letters in the middle and all that stuff. And I just love the build of that.
Is this through questioning?
No. So one of the things I'll do is when they throw the envelope and card over their shoulder, very often that tells me the kind of person they are, which means I can figure out what kind of star sign they are. So I say, you threw the envelope and like at the last show, they threw the envelope and then the card. I said, oh yeah, you did things in two parts, very much the trait of a Gemini, right? Like a being of two minds. And that's always great because, they have no idea I'm going to guess their star sign. And I've been at events where I tell the person who booked me, pick whoever you want, bring them up. So there's no way I could have known anything about them ahead of time. And I truly don't. And and again, it starts small, but there's a true build of like, okay, he's just going to guess 1 and 4. Oh, wait, he got this. Oh, wait, I wasn't expecting that. Oh my God, he's telling people things about themselves in the audience. Oh my God, he knows this woman's mother's name. And now, oh my God, rather than just guessing where the name is, he knows what it is. And so there's a lot of that. And I love, and I think that's the big thing I love, that the piece, that piece in the show is the turning point. Because at a corporate event, I'm introduced as a mind reader, and half the people are like you. They metaphorically put on their tinfoil hats, and the other people are like, oh yeah, right, whatever. This is going to be a joke. Maybe you got some information on some people before the show, and it's all going to be a big gag. And when it's not that, that's the turning point when they go, oh, this isn't a gag. He can really do this.
And then they're trying to borrow my aluminum helmet. And I'm going to be like, no, you should have been prepared.
Exactly. He got me good on REP Paranormal and Friends. He got me good.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
He got me really good. I think it was 3 times we did something, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. Each one he got it right. Every time.
Joe will be like, I went out. Nope. Get me out of that head. I don't know what part of that.
Well, and let me say this too. I don't like this, and this is a good example. I'm going to tip a secret here in a moment. Which, you know, part of the thing is like I do enjoy creating mystery. I don't feel like I need to hoard all the secrets, but there are some things I just don't. Again, like when people say, like when people like Penn and Teller say, "Oh, it's just tricks. It's not music, it's sound," that kind of thing. That said, to be totally honest, again, going back to before with the, you know, with the phone and everything else, it is more technically thought reading than it is full mind reading. Mind reading is you get a vibe. It's more like giving a reading on someone, taking someone's hands and just getting a vibe about them. That is, for lack of a better term, quote unquote, true, pure mind reading. The problem with that is it's really only interesting to the person being read. And in front of a big audience, I have to do a lot of thought reading. So I'll have, so rather than reading a mind, I'll have someone think of a single thought and pick up on that. And if they don't want me to get that specific thought, I won't. As I get warmed up throughout the show, I will pick up on some okay, and I haven't been able to get quite this in depth on Zoom yet. But in the live shows, I can start picking up on, and I won't out someone, but let's say I'll have 3 people standing, and I'll be like, oh, one of these people is think, you know, someone sitting next to the one of these people standing is thinking of their you know, naughty memory, you know, don't worry, I won't out you, but, you know, and I've had people come up to me and go, thank you for not outing me in front of everyone. And I've learned to be tactful, for lack of a better term, because I think, again, a lot of people, that's what they want at a mind reading show, but also I don't want to embarrass anyone. I don't want to, you know, end any marriages or careers or anything, you know, keep it fun. Keep it fun.
Right. So, so there's a mention that you do some investigating at the Dole Halls, correct?
Kind of. So what I'm doing, so at the Dole Mansion, for Halloween weekend, my good friend Lauren Purcell, who's the psychic medium I mentioned earlier, she has been doing ghost tours of the mansion and a variety of different cemeteries and such over the years. Now, she's only been at the Dole for a year. I've been at the Dole for 8 years. And every year around this time, I would beg and plead and jump through hoops and talk to the board and everything to let me do flashlight tours of the mansion. And we'll just say some people on the board in the past, not currently, but in the past, haven't been keen on calling the building a haunted mansion, even though the very first thing people do when they look at the building or just see a photo of it, go, is it haunted? It's the very first thing they say.
It's so interesting to me when places like that are like, you know, because the paranormal can bring in so much money for these locations.
Yes.
You know,
Now, to be fair, we talked a little bit, you know, before we went live. There are some people who want to come in and they don't know. I mean, first of all, these aren't artists. These are nonprofit people on a board. These are people who, you know, want to raise money for the building. They want to, and they're, we'll just say, again, older and set in their ways. And we'll just leave it at that. So for me to get that done just around October was always a huge trial. This last year, there've been a lot of changes at that building with a lot of the staff and such. And last year was the first year I was able to do my shows actually in the mansion, not just their little performance area, but in the mansion proper. And then I did flashlight tours afterwards. Now my studio on the second floor, so they have all the little rooms in it they rent out as artist studios. There's painters, a couple of musicians, a hypnotherapist. And again, a massage therapist who does healing arts, someone who does Reiki, all that stuff. And and so I rent my studio there. That's why I only have 13 people, because that's as many people fit in my studio. And I'm creating art. They can't tell me what kind of art I do. I mean, as long as I'm not breaking any laws, you know, but I can make paintings exclusively of dead puppies. As long as my check clears each month, there's nothing they can say about it. I'm not making paintings of dead puppies. I'm just using that as a very, very extreme example.
I was going to say, her heart would drop.
Yeah, no. I'm not, just to be clear. I have noticed too, by the way, just real quick, I'm a very sarcastic person in real life, and I've noticed that doesn't always translate in this format. People don't always know when I'm being sarcastic. So I'm just double checking. So I can do that, but again, I can only limit it to 13 people. Last year, I was able to do it through the whole house. And in that time between last year and this year, Lauren has been doing these tours throughout the year, not just around Halloween. And she's become very, very popular in the area. The local newspaper, local papers will have like their best of the county kind of thing. Mm-hmm. This year I won for live theater, because technically there's not like, I'm a performance venue. I'm doing shows and selling tickets. I'm not a music venue, so mm-hmm. That's kind of the format I went into it, which I'm okay with, considering the other two theaters in the area have like 800 seats in them, and my little 13-person venue won for the county. I'm super, thankful for and proud of, and it's voted for by the community. In her first year, she won Best of the Fox for Just for Fun group activity, and she was on the front page of the newspaper. So wow. It's really been kind of, embraced by the community more, which I always knew it would be. Mm-hmm. It just didn't have the chance to, be put in the proper context for people. I think a lot of people, when they heard like haunted stuff, they thought it was going to be something like, just for example, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I name something like this out by name, but something like in the Midwest, we have Dungeon of Doom in the Gurnee area, which is like zombie clowns and chainsaw. When they think haunted houses, they think that. They think it's going to be,
that hard pass.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I got thrown out of one.
So, well, there you go. So when anyone thinks of something, or it's for little kids, someone jumped out and said boo. There's like no in between. And I think paranormal events, investigations, tours, ghost tours, I think, myself included, over the last 10 years have kind of filled that gap that's kind of missing for the people who don't want one or the other. They want a more meaningful experience. They want to, I always say my shows are spooky, not scary. Mm-hmm. I don't jump out and say boo. I don't hide behind a corner and jump out in a mask, even though I really, really want to sometimes. I don't. I'll do that to friends, but never in my shows. So in that context, when I've brought people in, and I've done my own little experiments, taken photos, captured some shadow people on camera and such in the building, because for the longest time, I was the only one doing any kind of that work there. Now okay. Lauren's there, and she's built up a really good relationship, not just with the building, but here's the other aspect of the building.
That'd be cool to see the pictures. That would be cool.
Oh, yeah. If you go to my website and click on articles, there's a tab, Is the Dole Mansion Haunted? Some of the photos I've taken of like the shadow people and other stuff are on there, and I'll be uploading more this month. So you can see those online. And the cool thing with Lauren is, and I always kind of knew this, but I never processed it, because again, I'm more intuitive, but I don't see or communicate with spirits. I'll use a pendulum, but I'm going to be just about as accurate as everyone else with a pendulum when you're asking yes or no questions. I'm not going to get as detailed as a medium would. That said, they have all this furniture that's period appropriate, but not original to the house. So big surprise, there was a baby crib that's been brought in, and everyone is drawn to that baby crib, and it's not original to the house. So that crib has brought with its own energies, its own stuff, and people are drawn to it. And I just never processed, because no one really died there. Technically, Charles Dole's mom died of old age in the late 1800s, and his son died due to a hunting accident about 2.5 acres away from the house. And those aren't really, strange or weird enough to constitute the amount of activity that is felt in a place like that. Mm-hmm. So my main theories are one, that people have brought so much stuff, but also when you have everyone from circus folk to Franciscan monks and priests to, high society people, all that stuff. I see it more as, even if someone doesn't die there, it's going to absorb a lot of that energy, a lot of those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get so many different things over the years, and so much love that's been put into that building by so many people, you can't help but feel it when you're there.
Right.
And so so this Halloween, I'm just doing a mind reading show on the ground floor. I end with a kind of spooky, kind of an old-timey, like an old-timey magic shows and hypnosis shows where they would end with like a seance or a spook show or something like that. I end with just for Halloween, something a little extra spooky and strange to end the night on, that kind of combines some mind reading stuff and some haunted objects. And then after that, Lauren's going to be taking our 13 VIPs on a ghost tour through the through all three floors. And we've always done it around October. We've usually done it once. We've sometimes done it twice in the month. Mm-hmm. This is the first year we're doing 3 shows. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the 29th, 30th, and 31st. And the Saturday one's already, pretty much sold out. I think we've got like 3 or 4 tickets left for that one. So that one's going to be packed, guaranteed. Sunday's about half full, and Monday, Halloween night, is about a quarter full. But I'm guessing once, again, those first 2 fill up, and as we get closer, that last one, even though Halloween's on a Monday, I think even if you do the tour, you'll be done between 10 and 10:30 at night. So that's still not too late compared to and most people coming out to stuff like, like tours and haunts and, investigations and stuff. They're used to like 6-7 hours. So just an hour on Halloween night is pretty easy for them. The only thing you got to worry about is all the stairs. But so I'm excited to do that. Those are, I've had a lot of friends. She does the tours year round. She's doing them year round. We're just
paranormal investigations there? Like, is it open? Like,
she calls her stuff paranormal explorations because she's done the investigations, and what she does when people come in, she teaches everyone gets a pendulum to keep, and she teaches everyone how to use it. She has some EMF readers, she has some dowsing rods. Her and I are more, and this is just a personal choice, we're more low tech. I don't use big high tech, spirit boxes and all that stuff. I haven't seen a lot. Personally, I haven't seen a lot with that stuff that you can't get with something old school like a pendulum or pendulum bottle or your own intuition. Personally, maybe I've just seen bad ones over the past. Maybe I just don't understand them fully. But also, technology hates me. Like literally as we speak, I have wires and everything over here attached to my camera because I'm trying to get a video I did for a college onto my computer I'm talking to you on right now. Something I've done a million times before, but for some reason this file just will not transfer. I am
going through this same thing with my recorder and my Hinsdale, all my Hinsdale stuff. I'm trying to get in here and it's like the USB is all of a sudden bad.
Yeah, so technology in general, I don't love using. That said, people have brought their own equipment to her stuff, and she'll kind of tell everyone about the history. So it's part history, again, for the people, because we get the same kind of clientele, and every once in a while there's that husband that's been dragged there who doesn't want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. So the idea with that is to just like at least try to give them, something, another level to enjoy it on, whether it's fascinating history, compelling stories, just energy, just making eye contact with people and being like, hey, I see you. Hey, I hear you. Hey, I know this probably isn't normally your thing, but here's why I feel it's important. And hopefully that excitement can be transferred to you if you're open to it. And you go, oh, this is more interesting and cool than I thought it would be. That's probably not going to happen every time, but it's good to hope for that. And so people come in and they get to have their own explorations. So they'll go up to each floor in each room. She'll give a bit of a background, let people explore, ask their own questions. And she didn't call it, because we talked about it. She didn't brand it as a paranormal investigation because I think she thought people would be disappointed if they came in and didn't have like night vision goggles and all that stuff, because again, like even in this world, people have their own preconceived notions of what it is. I
have all my gear in the back.
Yep, exactly. So and if people want to bring that, they can. But she's handling more of the the metaphysical side, the historical side. I used to be the one that kind of fell to me to be the unofficial historian for the building. But now in the last year, with the amount of work Lauren has done, I've been able to just focus more on,
Your thing.
my career. I've been touring a lot this last year too, and also doing, the virtual shows as well. It was hard. I didn't do a lot of research during the lockdown because it was hard to even go to the place when I couldn't do what I normally do there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had no problems being there alone. It's why I was there alone. And it was like, oh, I miss bringing people in here and stuff.
Yeah.
It was kind
You
of
miss peopling.
Yes. That said, Zoom shows were a blast. I'm very happy that they're not the only thing I'm doing anymore. I'll say that as well. I think we all got I think the rubber band has snapped back after this last year. I think we've all kind of met in the middle and have accepted that virtual is part of life now.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it's not our only, the way I equate it is we all had to eat Pizza Hut for a year. Yeah, Pizza Hut is good. Well, or not even Pizza Hut. Let's go with Olive Garden. What's that?
I said Domino. I was saying Domino's, but I call it Domino's.
Oh, that's okay. Or Olive Garden or whatever. It's fine if you eat it, you won't die, but you're gonna get pretty, and you can try all the versions.
Gets old after a while.
One day.
Well,
after a while,
frozen.
Yeah, after a while, you're just like, I want some Chinese food. I want something
experiment
different.
with food.
yeah, exactly. So I think that was the big part of it. The fact that it's not the whole pie anymore. I do, because a lot of companies still do virtual meetings and such, and I'll be doing virtual ticketed shows again this autumn. I'm not doing one for October just because I was too busy with in-person stuff. Last year I did in-person stuff, but it was still like we didn't know. Like, I had everything on all my tickets. If this is closed for any reason, a virtual show will happen in its place, i.e. I'm not refunding people again. So, and then I had a virtual show on Halloween nights since it was a Sunday. I didn't know if people would really show up for a Sunday night one, but when the Friday and Saturday sold out last year, I knew I could do 3 nights this year. So that's why I just doubled down on that. But then, in January, I'll do like Wednesdays in January or something when nothing's going on for people. We'll do, because I did over the lockdown build up a large following. And I did coast to coast several times during that time. So I have people all over the country and the world who only have seen me on Zoom now. And I actually had a few people who are long distance who messaged me going, "Oh, are you doing a Halloween thing on Zoom?" I was like, "Not this year, sorry, but we're doing winter again, I promise." And they were like, "Okay, good." So I will be doing it. It will happen, and I do probably one corporate Zoom thing a month or every other month usually, and that's been fun too, to go that way. That said, in the ticketed shows, I teach everyone how to use a pendulum and can do more spooky ghost related things rather than just, because in corporate I insinuate, I never claim, but I insinuate more so it is psychology and body language, just so they don't get too weirded out or get a thing from corporate. You had what kind of demon stuff at the company Christmas party? We can't even call it a Christmas party, it's a holiday party, and you had a psychic. Like, gotta be conscious of that. But,
telling our secrets, what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But go ahead.
So does anybody have any questions in the comments? Or are we kind of caught up? Or
I
know Tom had mentioned something earlier, so do you want to do something with one of our people in the audience?
I'll tell you what, let's try something with well, don't worry, Taryn, you don't have to wear that, because here's what we'll do. Rather than have someone think of something, and I get it, we'll do the opposite, kind of give people more of an idea of how this works. Because I do believe we all are intuitive. We all have moments where someone says something and we go, "Oh, I was just thinking that," or vice versa. So here's what we'll do. I will think about a memory from my past. I'll look into my camera. I'll project it out to all of you, and we'll see how many of you pick up on the psychic transmission. Don't say your answers out loud, the two of you. And even people watching live, don't type them in the chat even. And don't even say them out loud in case someone's watching with you. Just keep it in your head and go with whatever comes naturally. Don't think about it too hard. So let's begin. Just look in my eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Very good. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, get in your mind a number from 1 to 10. Lock it in your mind. Don't change it. Remember that number. All right, we'll do it again. I'll keep it simple. Take another deep breath. And exhale. And get in your mind a direction on a compass. Lock it in your mind. Don't change it. Remember that direction. All right, this last one's going to be the most difficult. This time I want all of you to think of 2 simple geometric shapes, one inside the other, like a square inside something else. No, don't pick a square. I just said that. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Remember those 2 shapes. I'm curious to see how everyone did. And this is where people can type into the comments at this point. I was actually thinking about my first day of school, and I couldn't find where geometry class was. So I asked someone where it was, and they said it was on the north side of the building. So if either of you got north, just put your hand up for right now. Okay, so both of you did. When I got to the classroom, I looked around and noticed there were 7 students. Put your other hand up if you got 7. Did both of you got 7? Okay, here's the tough one. The teacher drawn on the chalkboard a circle and a triangle. Did you get either of those?
I hate you. I hate you.
Did you get both? You
Yes.
both got both? Awesome. Oh, great, great. People can comment and see if that's awesome.
How did you do that?
Awesome. So, well, what's great is
I wasn't even moving. I wasn't giving you any body language. I wasn't doing anything.
No, I didn't guess it from you. You got it from me. That's why.
Fuck.
That's why. So
That's all I gotta say.
What?
you said it with a PH. It's fine.
Well, we are got parental advisory out there.
Yeah. Here, I'll let you guys stew on that. I'm gonna go grab a marker 1 second.
Well, how did he get? He got every single one. I was thinking every single one.
I told you he's good.
I should have kept this on. I knew it. I knew it. See?
I told you your mind would be blown.
Now I want to try it again.
All right. I got the marker. Okay. Great mind reader. I should have had this ready. Okay. So here we'll do this.
I cannot believe that
again, Terry.
I'm still
well, I'll leave it up to you, Darren. Do you want to bring someone else on? Do you want to see if we can bring someone else on? Or
Terry, you want to bring somebody on? Want to bring like Tom on or something?
Yeah, if somebody wants to, I can share the
link. Yeah, someone wants to come on. We'll do something. We'll do something similar. We'll see if, again, this will be me sending people thoughts. So don't worry. I'm not going to tell anyone like your deep, dark secrets or anything yet. Yeah.
I need extra tinfoil.
I told you. He's good.
Extra. What is happening? I can't believe that just happened.
I wonder how the people are in chat though. What are they thinking? You know?
Yeah.
Well, somebody did, but he had West 8 circle and triangle. So
so you got both shapes. Hey, that's great. Those are the harder ones, and you were only off by 1 on the number too. So I'll
I can't
so that's
believe it.
Pretty
Stop.
decent.
That was insane.
Yeah, the 7 in the north were switched on me.
Interesting.
But you still got it all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I picked the 7. Yeah, the north, the 7, and then the circle triangle. That was insane.
Yeah, but I've had people because I'll do this in shows with the whole audience, and at the end, 99% of people have their hands up, and I'll have people get further, like what color shirt was the teacher wearing, and such like that. So we can go further. There's ways we can grade on how people did with it. So well here. So do we have anyone coming on, or should we try try something else too? Let's give it a shot.
If anybody wants to come on and let him hit that thing that he just did.
That thing you do.
We'll try something a little different. We'll try something a little different. Rather,
crazy.
Both, again, there's sending thoughts and there's receiving thoughts. So that's why I grabbed a marker, because my little pencil here won't show up.
Man, he would be like,
let me see, invite.
He wouldn't know what to do. I think.
Let's do this.
I'm going to put the link. I'm here. Oh, Kenny Biddle just mentioned me in a comment. That's weird. He's reading my mind too.
Well, I just probably caught you on.
I'm going to go put it on. Hold on. I'm getting to the page. and I'll put the link on Paranormal Brew on the chat.
Yeah.
Because I can't comment in the StreamYard for some reason. So I have to put it on the page.
Gremlins. It's all gremlins. That's the other great thing with virtual stuff. Anything goes wrong, blame it on ghosts.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. There
So
you go.
my computer's
Or the bots.
If someone can't log into my show, hey, you got ghosts. Anything goes wrong, blame it on ghosts.
Hold on.
Yep.
There you go.
Can you hear us?
Or the bots.
If someone can't log into my show, hey, you got ghosts. Anything goes wrong, blame it on ghosts.
Hold on.
Yep.
There you go.
Can you hear us?
Or the bots.
If someone can't log into my show, hey, you got ghosts. Anything goes wrong, blame it on ghosts.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
There
All
you
right.
go.
What'd I say? Just then. Boom. Those are moments in life when I wish I had a smoke bomb. Like, perfect. Done. Good night, everybody.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. So where's Kenny Biddle at? Maybe he
All right. So here, while Taryn, while you're getting someone, Darren, you and I will try some more.
All right.
I've grabbed 3 of my business cards. Okay.
Oh, well, a second here to be switch my screen. Okay.
Okay. So I've got 3 of my business cards here, and I am going to send you 3 thoughts, kind of like what we just did. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to imagine that I go into a library, a big imaginary library. I go to a bookshelf. I see dozens of books, and one book jumps out at me because of the color. Now I'm going to write this down, but I'm not gonna show it to you. All right. Okay. I'm going to put this behind the other 2. So you can't see it, but I can't change my mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to send it to you. Imagine you take the book off the shelf. Okay, I take the book off the shelf, and you tell me what color is the book.
A deep brown.
Deep brown. Okay, okay,
Like
almost
wooden,
like
like a deep wooden brown.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's perfect. Now I'll imagine I open up the book and I start flipping through the pages. I see the words going by and I see the page numbers, and I'll settle on a page number here. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay. And I'll write this out again. I'll put it behind the others so you can't see it and I can't change my mind. I'll give you one hint. It's a 2-digit page number I'm on, a 2-digit page number, okay? I'm going to imagine I look at it. I send it to you. What number did you get?
78.
78. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to look over the page and page 78 and settle on a word. This is the hardest one. Okay, so got it. Actually, I'm going to cross this out and I'm going to write something similar but different. I'll put the marker down. Again, I'll put this behind the others so you can't see it, but I can't change my mind. All right. Now look right at me, Darren. And as quick as you can, say out loud a verb, something you can do right now. Say it.
Right. Right.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I'll be honest. That was the one you were the most wrong on. I'll show you this one. I actually originally, I think I confused you because I wrote down jump and then I crossed out and wrote down run, which kind of sounds like right, so that's fine. The thing you got most spot on though was the page number. I did write down 78. And this was the one I was a little concerned on because you originally said deep brown, but then you said wood brown. I was very close. I wrote down wooden brown. So again, 2 out of 3, I'll say is pretty dang good for that. So I'm very happy with that. And again, the color was that was my fault getting too in depth with the descriptions of it and such. Do we have someone, Taryn?
Oh, I'm still working on it.
Okay, so here, let me try this real quick, Taryn. Could you just think back?
Okay.
Think back to the first person you can remember having a crush on. Okay? Just
Okay.
Or just one of the first people you can remember having a crush
Okay.
on. Okay. And just, do you remember both of their initials?
Oh, you want me to pick two people?
No, both of their initials, like their first name and last name.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, because this is on the internet and it's just a personal memory, so we'll just go for the initials.
Cheers, by the way.
I'll do. Okay. I've written something down. Again, I'll keep it up here. Now, again, you tell me what are the initials. You can say them.
TB.
TB. And also,
Could
out
be
of curiosity, what's that?
I mean, if you were like, go ahead. I'm sorry, I won't mess
Okay.
it up.
Well, do you remember how old you were? Remember how old you were?
I was probably like 7.
7. Okay. 7, maybe 7, but not 17, but 7. That's good because I actually wrote down an age too. I wrote down age 7 and TV. So if you wanted to know if the tinfoil hat works, it doesn't.
Damn it!
Sorry.
Where were your hands? Was I not paying attention? There's got to be.
No, but you can go back. I kept it. Darren, you can verify. I kept
Oh,
everything
that's right. You
framed.
did.
I kept it up here.
I'm
I
like,
kept it up here.
yes, you did. I remember now. I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, wait a minute. How come this tinfoil's not working?
Jordan Knight cannot protect you now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy, huh?
Oh man.
Yeah, you can watch the video back. I kept it up
insane.
here. I put the marker down. I asked it, and there's the initials. There's
try her again. I want to see this one more time. Try her again.
Okay, all right. We'll try.
Let's make
one
it 3
more.
for 3 on this one.
Okay. We'll do something a little less personal. Could you do you have a deck of cards nearby? It's okay if not.
Me or her?
Like playing cards.
Actually, I can go get them. It'll take me 3 seconds.
Yeah, go grab them. Go grab them. We'll do that.
Okay. Darren, it's not funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it is so funny. Oh, I
Part of the
gotta.
fun of all this, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's like I said, our audience has got to be like I said.
Well, and that's the thing too. I people always joke like, oh, you know everything. I don't always know how people are going to react. Sometimes they'll laugh. Sometimes they'll scream. Are those giant cards?
They are.
Oh, even better. Cool. Okay. So here I've got a pack of cards too. They're regular size, but if I bring them closer, they look giant. So you can shuffle them up. And here's what I want you to do. Out of frame, I want you to pick a card, but don't pick one like the Ace of Spades or Queen of Hearts, okay?
Don't pick that? You want me to look at the cards and pick one?
Yeah, look at them.
Okay.
Remember one and then take it out, but do it out of frame so I can't see it. Because even though these are your cards, I don't want anyone to think the cards are marked or anything like that, okay?
Okay.
I've been trying people with ESP cards lately.
It's out?
Yes.
It's out? Okay. Oh, I use ESP cards a lot in my shows, actually. So this is... but the one thing I noticed, though, I had to stop using them at the high school shows. High schoolers just couldn't I don't know why. You'd think shapes would be more hard. No joke. This is what a kid did with ESP cards. I was like, okay, take the top card and hold it so that way no one can see it. Mm-hmm. And he went, okay. So he couldn't see it, but we all could. I don't know what it is with those. I think with playing cards, they're used to not showing people, so I think that might be the disconnect. I'm not sure. Okay, so Taryn, you've got a card.
Yes.
It's out of the deck with all the others. Okay. Just real quick, you didn't go for like the Queen of Hearts, did you? or like the ace of spades, nothing obvious. And I did take the joker out of here. So, because I don't want anyone saying later on, oh, that's a card everyone would pick. Because if it was one of those, they would be right. So you did good. You got a really interesting card here. And again, I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm not going to narrow it down. I am just going to ask you to name out loud the 4 suits out loud. So go clubs, diamonds, spades, hearts. I'll keep my eyes closed while I do this. I'm just going to go off your voice for one thing I need. Go ahead.
So clubs, diamonds, spades, hearts.
Perfect. I'm going to out of frame. Actually, what I'll do is I'll because I don't want anyone to think I've got all the cards laid out in front of me. So I'll actually turn the card upside down and put the cards back in the box. So there is now, so all the cards are in here. Okay. And I'll take them out in a moment. And one card is turned around. So I don't have this way, I don't have anything extra out of frame or anything like that. Hold up your card like this, Taryn.
With the back.
With the back. Yeah. So you've got it like that. And you can turn it around and show everyone. I'll leave this deck in frame, but turn it around and show everyone the card. Okay, so that's the 10 of diamonds. That's perfect because 10 is the number of completion in cartomancy, and diamonds represent structure. So this shows in your life a lot of things that have been very structured, a lot of very structured plans have come to a very satisfying conclusion and will continue to come to a satisfying conclusion. I had that feeling about you a moment ago when I was trying to get a read on you when I turned one card over. Again, I'll leave the deck in view. You can see all of the cards are facing the same way, except for one. That is the only card in the entire deck that I turned over. You can see that. And that card is also the 10 of diamonds.
Oh my God.
Bingo. Bingo. Sorry.
Where's your aluminum foil now?
It ain't your
Actually,
friend.
that's the question. Is that aluminum foil or tin foil?
That is tin foil.
See, aluminum foil is what you need to keep me out. Yeah. That's an industry secret. I give it to you for next time.
What do you say? How right?
Bazinga.
Nobody. Kenny is going to kick himself in the ass because he so would come on here.
Yeah, I keep checking to see if someone comes on.
I did share the link up there. I don't know if you want to share it
I
again.
think after all of the testing done on me and you, I think some people probably got scared.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen sometimes.
So now I understand why people will pay. I was like, all right, so people think what are they going to get out of it? You know what I mean? Like, what do they do to get out of it? But so that I'm like, I would totally I would totally.
It's funny you say that because whenever there's those Facebook things that that say describe your job badly, I always say I tell people what they already know, and they treat me like I have superpowers. And when it sounds like that, it sounds kind of dumb. I will admit it. I often joke that mind reading is sometimes like the lamest psychic ability. It's like telling people things they already know. But at the same time,
that wasn't stuff like that. Was like totally like off the cuff, like thinking your mind something.
Yes.
And you told like it was everything.
Yeah.
And then the card, that's not,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't.
Yeah. And I hope, and that's the big thing. The big thing I hope that people are getting out of it is twofold. Number one, connection. I can't think of a better, for lack of a better term, artistic metaphor of connecting people than mind reading and telepathy and psychic phenomena in general, I think. I mean, it's all based on connection and connecting with, the unknown. So I can't think of a better, it's not even a metaphor. It's just literal at that point.
I can't believe it.
And,
I can't believe it.
And also I think mystery is important. I think, like I said, like that, your mind right now is doing what your body does on a roller coaster. It's experiencing that free fall. It's experiencing that mystery. And we don't get that very often.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not kidding. I'm not just saying it because you're on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I would be
Oh, yeah.
honest. I would be 100% honest if I.
Oh, well, and Darren's seen me before, and, I did get one thing wrong with him, and, I want people to be. I even say at shows, like, hey, you don't have to lie to make me look good. There's one thing I do. It's actually similar to a scene in the movie The Sixth Sense, where someone is thinking of something, and I say, if I get something right, signal everyone by taking a step forward, everyone take a step backwards. And I say, don't spare my feelings. If I'm wrong, you take that step backwards. And part of that is because every time it happens, and first of all, I've done this on the biggest stages, and it's just two people on stage, and it's super compelling. There's no props, there's no lasers, there's no music. It's just two people. And there's a scene similar to it in The Sixth Sense. And my favorite moment, ironically, is when I get something wrong, because they get closer and closer and closer, and then they take that step back, and you feel the whole audience go, oh, what just happened? And so, like, people are like, are you worried about being wrong? I'm like, and don't get me wrong, I'm very happy when I can get enough of a read on a person to get everything right.
You did 3 for 3 on me, so
yeah, exactly.
I'm easy.
So
I'm easy.
So no, you're good at this. There are people who give it a try and they're not really good at it. They're not good at visualizing things. They're not good at following instructions. Very often the joke is, if the dumber they are, the harder they are to read, because if they don't know what's going on in their own mind, which, let's be honest, some people don't. Those people who call their parents up as they're walking into the voting booth, hey, who am I voting for? Yeah. Sorry, didn't go down that rabbit hole with this. Sorry, but the kind of person I'm talking about. Where it's like, wait, did you just copy tests all the way through school? Have you not retained anything? What are you? I had one person. Oh, what was it? Now, yes, also they are on stage, and I get people, freeze up and everything. That's fine. But I had a bag of slips of paper with celebrities on them for something I was doing, and I was just like, okay, take one out. Okay, do you know who that is? No. I said, okay, toss it on the floor. Take one out. Do you know who this one is? No. And I'm like, these are really no. It took us like 5 tries, and like the ones they threw on the floor, I picked them up after the show. They were like Elvis and like. Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I won't put a date on myself or when this happened, but also I already made one quasi-political comment already. The current president was one of the. So it's like,
yeah.
So I don't know if they just didn't understand.
They do that on purpose.
And. No, because I was like, I said, now hang on. Because after the third one, I was like, okay, hang on. Do you know who it is and you don't want them? Or do you truly not recognize any of these people? Because that's why I figured by like the third time,
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, how about this? Grab a handful and grab one you like.
Go through them all. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one they settled on, it was like, who was it? I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
But it was just like, so, you need, and when that happened, I knew I was going to try and read them. So I was like, okay. And to make this really random, hand that to someone else to make it random, to make it so much more random than I could ever know. Test conditions. That's how you know if I'm vamping for something, vamping for time. If I say the word, we're going to do this under test conditions. That means I am adjusting because
Plan B.
I either think it's not going to work with this person or I need to change the game slightly to make it. And again, I'm in a theater, not a scientific committee or something. So I give myself that artistic way.
Have parapsychologists ever reached out to you or are they ever interested in how you work your mind?
Sometimes, I mean, it's usually The sad thing about it is it's very boring. So even when like most parapsychologists want to get into more spirit stuff rather than mind reading stuff. Also, if you haven't looked into some of the Uri Geller testings and Project Alpha and everything, if you want to see why people are a little bit more nervous about putting their scientific name on the line in the search for like, actual mind reading and so forth, you can just look up Project Alpha. That's a whole other discussion in and of itself. But what I have noticed is a lot more scientists and psychologists and psychology professors have gotten more of an interest in not just the paranormal, but also what we were talking about before, performance magic. The college near my house is Carthage College, and a good friend of mine, Dr. Tony Barnhart, he is a cognitive psychologist. His doctorate is in psychology. He teaches at the college. He has done a lot of experiments with actually sleight of hand techniques and psychology and to find weird little quirks in the brain. And we've actually done studies to see what kind of things people do think of. Like, can you say, so just for example, I didn't do this with you, Taryn, but there are some people. I'm kind of giving away a little bit here. And I actually did do this at one point earlier on with something else. I won't say when, but again, if you want to watch back, there will be people who will do this. They'll say, okay, you're going to think of a playing card. So think of a number, and they'll just trace like a 3 in the air and see it on a screen in your mind. And now they've done a diamond. So they've done that, subliminally. And, there's actual tests to see if that, they'll do it not just once or twice, but they'll do it with hundreds of people to see and do it while doing those subtle cues and do them without the cues to see if it actually does work, to see if it actually works enough to where it's, reliable.
And did it?
Here's the other weird thing. Depended on the individual.
Yeah.
There were some individuals where it didn't do anything and they just got it. They didn't get it right any more than just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some people, may or may not have been me, who they did notice a very, very slight uptick above the odds. Here's the other thing with parapsychology, which is, okay, so taking the 5 ESP symbols, you have to throw out 20% of all right answers because you're going to get it right 20% of the time just based on odds.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if you're just getting things right 21% of the time, you're beating the odds. If you get up to 25 or 30% of the time in a laboratory, that is statistically significant. And that's where a lot of the J.B. Rhine testing was at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a show where I'm not, I'll maybe give some clues, maybe use some suggestion, maybe, pick people who I feel are a little bit more intuitive and those things. I can get that up to, like we did with Darren, we got, 2 out of 3 pretty well. And we got the only thing we didn't get right was the hundreds of words he could have chosen, but he got the color and the numbers spot on. And that's the other thing. Some people are really good with colors. Some people are really good with numbers. Some people are really good with words. And so I've figured out little ways to get around some of that stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of what I'm doing to create more, for lack of a better term, for more success and more excitement, unfortunately compromises a lot of the stuff that would be held up in the lab. That said, the reason I filmed this last college show is because we actually ran an experiment during my show because we wanted to see how much people remembered. We wanted to see what they thought was the most impressive. We wanted to see, we wanted to compare, because another thing that some people have done testing on for like performance magic is giving them like a really interesting and cool introduction versus just saying, hey, here's a guy who's going to show you some cool stuff. And of course, the people who had all the accolades of like, they've won these awards, they've been on these TV shows, all this stuff, people rated those people more amazing and more talented and more skilled than the people without those. So we monitored the differences between people who came in late and didn't see my introduction versus people who did. We did some stuff to find out because I was also curious to see what they, because different people are always amazed by different things in the show too. For some people, it's like, how did you know her star sign, or how did you know I was a Libra? When like I also guess someone's pin code, which is like a 1 in 10,000 thing. It should arguably be the more impressive thing, the most interesting for people. So that's the other thing too, which is it's amazing how much, for lack of a better term, theater, a framework, making it into a piece can heighten the experience for people and makes it not just okay, how many of these did you get right and how many of these did you get wrong?
I was impressed times 3.
Well, thank you.
I'm always impressed.
I can't believe it. That was insane.
I do have a quick question. It's been sitting in my mind for a long time, and you probably could guess it anyway.
So the answer, I'll tell you the answer. I'm a big spoon.
Have they? So, with all the crime out in this world.
Oh yeah. If you're gonna ask the question I was gonna ask, Darren, I'm so getting off this show, and I'm putting on more tinfoil all the time. That's it.
So here's the question: have you been into the jailhouse to question prisoners to see what the crime?
I was gonna ask. Interrogation room. I was going to say, you'd be great in interrogation room, because there was something that you made me say, and then you were listening for a way that I said a certain thing. But I made sure I said them exactly all the same exact way.
I'm not reading your mind.
You are reading my mind, because I was going to ask that question.
Short answer is no. Long answer, I'll give you the short answer and then the medium answer, and that will become the long answer. I love murder mysteries. My wife and I read, detective stories. We watch, Father Brown mysteries, all that stuff.
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Joe Kenda, Homicide Hunter.
Yeah. So we don't get too much into true crime.
I love Ideal Discovery.
Oh yeah, and yes, and like this is not speaking against people who do enjoy that stuff. This is just me. Because I am so empathic, I can't even watch the news. I don't even watch the news.
I don't watch the news either.
The other thing about this, so light trigger warning for some people. So the Dole Mansion is in Crystal Lake, Illinois. And if you look at the news over the last 3 years, there was a young 5, 6, 7-year-old boy who was missing for a number of weeks, and their body was found, and the parents were arrested and convicted and all of that. Mm-hmm. I won't say the name just out of respect, but I think most people in the Midwest know the case I'm talking about and all of that. I'll say this much. It was in Crystal Lake, Illinois. So Larry, you're in Crystal Lake. You're not too far from the Dole Mansion, which is where my show is. That child's house, which again is now torn down, it's an empty lot, was on Dole Avenue. It was less than a mile from, and again, I've been in the news in that area. I'm known as like the guy who can read minds and everything else. I easily got 50, 60 messages from people who said, "Hey, Joe, I know," while the investigation was happening, before we knew what had happened, the child was just missing at the time. People saying, do you sense anything? I know you're just an entertainer, but do you sense anything? And all that stuff. And every single one of those broke my heart. I ended up having to finally just do a public post.
Yeah.
Responding to people was getting way too draining for me. And the short answer is, and the long answer is, I thought what everyone else thought. Everyone being questioned was acting really shady. None of this story added up. And yeah, the first place I'd go looking would be the woods down the road. And that's where the remains were found. Right. So even without even being psychic, I mean, I could have called this from a mile away.
Right.
But let's just say I did end up, feeling compelled to go to the cop. They're getting so many tips. They're getting so many people who say one thing, conflicting messages, all this other stuff,
So
blah,
this
blah,
is an
blah.
active or an investigation, or it's no longer, but you're saying like, while this is going on.
While this was going on, yes. While this was going on, yeah. So it is not active anymore. I believe both parties were convicted and tried.
Yeah.
I think one of them they're still waiting on a sentence, but I haven't kept up to date with it. Honestly, it's just too icky. So, like, could you imagine? I don't want to be right.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want
know. I feel
to. I
you.
don't
I feel
want to be the one to say go dig over there. I don't want to. And
Yeah.
also, on the top of all that, if that does happen, and I am right, are the cops just going to assume I
you're
knew all this because I was psychic?
right. No, I know.
I mean, every psychic detective show, like in the first episode, it's almost a gag or a trope where it's like they don't believe them, and then by the end of that episode, they have to convince the cops and like do all that, and like so that they can move on and for there to be a show. And the fact of the matter is, just real life doesn't work that way. I do know some people who have consulted on cases, both, who are, in the paranormal community and not. Some people who have just been brought on to consult for a variety of reasons, and so on. And honestly, I'm already, again, just being around those 600 high schoolers was draining and rough, and like feeling like leaving and going like, oh my gosh, I feel this, I feel that. It's like, oh, it's like I'm a 15-year-old girl who feels awkward in her first year at high school. It's like, oh yeah, like I don't want to get in, and that's just in an entertainment capacity. I can't imagine how much it would affect me in any other context. And that said, and again, hats off to the police force in the area, the investigation in the area. It would actually went. Again, it was a rough 2 weeks not knowing, or I think it was something like 10 or 12 days when we didn't know, where the missing person was. But again, like within 2 weeks, and the fact that it's not still, again, watch true crime. How many times it's like, it's been 10 years and the investigation is still ongoing. I loved watching like unsolved mysteries when I was a kid, mostly for the ghost stories and stuff. My friend Christian was the same way. I think he says that in his shows actually. But yeah, it's so yes, I do enjoy looking at that stuff. I enjoy reading about it, but I need to be grounded, shielded, at a distance, and preferably with like two quirky private eyes who need to dress up and go undercover to solve the murder. Like I need so many layers.
I wouldn't be able to do it with like animal stuff. Like that's the only time I can't watch something. Like my boyfriend will be like, so you'll watch people die, but you can't watch animals die? I'm like, correct.
Yeah, and I'm not even. I make a joke in my shows, when people are writing down dead celebrity names, I say you can do your favorite actor, favorite author, favorite dead serial killer if you're a weirdo like me. And I'm not a big serial killer person. I mean, I've read like, stories about Jack the Ripper and all that stuff. But I am a weirdo, and I am in that, I run in those same circles. So it works for me on that level. But yeah, but I don't like everyone's going on about the new Netflix show. Dahmer.
My wife's watched that whole thing.
I heard it was
I won't watch it.
That's fine if people want to watch it, enjoy it, not enjoy it, whatever. I'm not going to watch it, and not for me.
Neither.
I love that actor. That actor, I can't remember his name right now, but he's amazing. He's great. Give him all the money. Give him all the Oscars. Give him all the parts. Yes. Maybe in a few years, or maybe when I'm not living in Wisconsin, I'll watch it. But that's
my kid's got to deal with all the publicity going on because she's in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So that's not, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like the Dole as well. It's no one was axe murdered there. There's no unsolved investigation. There's no.
Well, you haven't been to Villisca then.
Oh! I've heard of it, and again, I'll read about that stuff. But I need to be, I need.
If you could solve that crime, you would be in. Everybody would just be like, "Holy shit!"
I can't even find my car keys most
Where's
days,
Hoffa?
so it's fine.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm still trying to figure out who shot JR. When I figure that out, then I'll graduate. Then I'll graduate from there. When I solve that, then I'll be like, okay, we can move on.
Wow. Well, this has been an awesome, awesome show.
Larry says, I'd love to shoot an episode of our
This,
series at the Dole. Want to join us?
Yeah, you'll have to, the person you'll have to reach out to for that is Lauren, and she'll have to go through all the red tape for you and everything. It is a pain still going through the board. And again, the only reason, Lauren can do them so regularly is because she's an artist partner. So she only had to go through the board once. Now she just has to, reserve the dates. So so that's the downside to do all these kinds of different things. It's not really an option. But that said, her tours are amazing. Go see her tours. Very often, she encourages, photos, and I think she's even let people take video and such. So it might be worth it to go for that. But yeah, and then my 13-person show. I mean, yeah, you want to come do something in my studio? My studio is I wanted to design it like a cabinet of curios that you could sit in. So I've got like a phrenology head, a Fiji mermaid, and all that stuff. Like I wanted people to just come in and just instantly, feel like they were in a historic building, but also feel like they were in, in a mind reader's artist studio. It turns out. So.
That sounds cool.
Well, so with this awesome interview tonight, what kind of message would you like to leave the viewers with tonight? Just kind of like taken back from what we talked about tonight.
Have an open mind. I was shocked.
I mean, there's the selfish message, which is come see my show. But also,
I was going to say, yeah.
In all seriousness, what my shows are about, JoeDiamondLive.com, America's Greatest Mind Reader.com. No, in all seriousness, the big message in kind of all my work is I believe nothing is impossible. The moment you decide something is impossible, you kind of just made it impossible for yourself at that point. But if you just refuse to do that,
cool.
There's nothing you can't accomplish, in my opinion.
I'm going to win the lottery.
Sure, but also you got to buy a ticket. like that's the thing. You can there's a lot of that, and yes, we can go into goal setting and all that other stuff, and that was
one of my questions, but
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
lottery or goal setting.
Goal setting was one of my questions I had. But.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, I really like. I really like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. There's a 21st Century Updated edition where they put in stories of Michael Jordan and so forth. That's the one I read growing up. I have come to learn that Napoleon Hill was very much a fake it till you'll make it kind of guy. Like he would literally just have his trophy with him, and he would go and shove it in a president's hand or a CEO's hand and take the photo, and guy doesn't know what this is or who this guy is, and he'd be like, we gave President so-and-so the award and all that. But also, which for some people makes them go, oh, he was, a snake oil salesman and everything. But I kind of find it more inspiring in a certain sense. I mean, definitely do moral stuff, and some of the stuff he did was at best in a gray area, and we'll leave it at that. It's still fascinating. Definitely look it up. Mm-hmm. But for me, I just find the idea that here's a guy who just never took no for an answer. And when there was a barrier in his path, he made a new path. And I think that's kind of, in some ways, just as inspiring. Again, gotta try to be maybe a little bit more ethical, but we'll just leave that at that. But and also all that is hearsay. Who knows what really happened with all that stuff too. However, I think the first step is just being, it is amazing how much, I used to roll my eyes at the 5-year goals, the 10-year goals, all that stuff. But the more I write stuff down, just having a to-do list, I am objectively more productive. And and there is science behind that, of having that kind of stuff and everything. So yes, I'm not saying just jump up and down and say, I will lose 20 pounds, and then don't do anything, just eat only Cheetos, or back to before, eat only Olive Garden. I'm not saying that. However, it is amazing how just the act of, writing down that goal, writing down your plan, being clear about what you want to. I'll actually finish up the goal setting thing with this. You got to be specific with your goals. And I'm gonna really try to do this without chastising you, Taryn, but you don't want to win the lottery. You want the freedom you want and desire that you feel will come with winning the lottery.
Yes.
So there is that. Now, yes, people say, give me the lottery. The lottery is like what our brains have been pop culture wired into, to be like oh my God, any day, anytime, my life can change instantly for the better. Like, there's huge wish fulfillment that's ingrained in us. I'm not knocking that, not shaming that. And please, yes, don't go into bankruptcy buying tickets. But yeah, if you want to, you got to keep buying tickets if you want to win. Yeah. But also, when people say they want to be successful, it's like, well, what is that? Is that a big house? Is that money in the bank? Because let me tell you, there's some famous and successful TikTok stars who don't have $50 in the bank. There's, all of that. There's that kind of people. And there are people who you've never heard of who make, very comfortable 6-figure incomes flying around the country doing corporate shows, or who are speakers, or do workshops and all this stuff. So a big part of it is you got to be clear about what your goals are. If you just want money for the sake of money, good news, that's a very achievable goal, but I don't know if it'll be a very fulfilling one.
Right.
I can't remember what book this was in.
I'd go hide.
Yeah, I won't say what book this was in, because and I don't want to say it was me, because it's actually quite dark. It was someone said something about an enemy, and someone said, well, I really hope that person, they're talking about their enemy in this, I really hope all of their hopes and dreams and goals come to fruition, so they can see and feel how empty it all is. And yeah, I think it's happiness, goal setting, I think a big part of it is not the destination, it is the journey. There is a moment, and that's something my mentor Eugene Berger said as well. He's like, some people get really depressed when they find out they're never done, but I find it very empowering. Like, it's wonderful to know I can explore this as long as I can, and never be done. How wonderful is that?
That's how I feel about the paranormal.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
Yep, exactly. So I think that's the ultimate what I'm trying to get at with a lot of my stuff. So I think that's a good message to put out.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And like I said, if you happen to miss it, catch it on the replay, please. So one last time, Joe, you want to give out your credentials?
At Joe Diamond Live on all social media. I'm most active on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I just started a TikTok. We'll see how that goes.
I follow it.
Thank you. I'm on Twitter. I tweeted for the first time this weekend, but for the first time in a long time this weekend, but mostly I just use that when a company is being poopy and customer service has left me on hold, and that's the only way to get a response from someone. So unfortunately, but I'm very also, I know, Darren, we connected through Messenger.
Yeah.
I've actually been noticing a lot of people who aren't friends with me yet, or who are first time messages. For me, Messenger's been just dumping them in spam, and I'm not seeing them for a lot of people. So I know there's a lot of people I've missed and am missing currently as we speak. The best way to get a hold of me is just joe@joediamondlive.com. It's on my website. It's on all my social media stuff. So yeah. So if you've sent me a Facebook message and you haven't heard from me, it's nothing personal. Messenger's dumb. Just shoot me good old fashioned steam powered email, joe@joediamondlive.com. And then every Friday this month is sold out at the Joe Diamond Studio at the Dole Mansion.
Good for you.
October 29th, 30th, and 31st are the completely different show. That's the other thing I should have pointed out too. I have 5 different 1-hour shows. So if you have seen me at a paranormal conference or anyone out there has seen me, on another virtual show or something, if you come and see me, it will be all different stuff and all different things. There's always surprise. I think that's the other thing too. A lot of people want surprise out of an experience like mine. So I found that having... Yes. And I think having new things, and some people want to bring their friend and watch how they'll react to the thing. Mm-hmm. But the people do want the surprise. So in November, my other show, The 13th Hour, is coming back. And I'm working on a new show too, which may debut January 13th, Friday the 13th, if all goes according to plan.
There you go.
But that'll all be at joediamondlive.com. And the best way to keep up to date with all that, again, is the social media I mentioned, or even better, subscribe to my mailing list. Just scroll the bottom of any page at joediamondlive.com or americasgreatestmindreader.com. It's 2 URLs, same website. So that both will take you to the same place. And the mailing list is the great way to keep up to date with everything.
Cool. Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Got to have you back on again for.
Yeah. Hang on. Actually, real quick before we log off, this can be our final thing. Forgot to mention back behind me, Darren. I see you have a special friend behind you. Goodness. I have a special friend behind me. They didn't even get to say hi. So this is Flora. She's my best friend.
I could have waited till I was off.
She may or may not be closing the Halloween shows, and we'll leave it at that.
That would be Felix back there.
Hi, Felix.
You see what she's holding? I got her holding a laser grid pen.
Oh, nice. This is Flora. She's not evil. She's just a little broken, like all of us. So she's just misunderstood.
You guys are quite correct.
Hey, we're just 2 grown men who love to play with dolls. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I said. So whatever happened to men having G.I. Joes?
They're off the door.
All our creepy dolls murdered them.
Yeah, right.
Creepy dolls came to life and kicked them down the garbage disposal. That's what happened. Thank you again. This is a blast. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Would love to come back anytime. If you ask again, the answer is yes. So
absolutely.
Would love to chat with you next spooky season or anytime in between.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So for those of you that have tuned in, like I said, you've been watching the Paranormal Brew Network and the BB3 TV networks. And if you don't have Facebook, get on the YouTube, check out the MGS Paranormal YouTube channel. We're all playing at the same time. So with that, she's Taryn.
The other way.
And that's Joe. My name is Darren. I bid you adieu. So long, everybody.